Okay, good day everyone. I hope you are doing well. So, Rian, how are you? How are you feeling today?
Good morning, good afternoon, ma'am. I'm doing well.
Okay, I'm glad that you're doing well today. Jillian, how are you? How are you feeling today?
Good afternoon, my mom. I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much. I'm glad that we are all feeling great today. So, okay, let us proceed to the next slide. Okay, so before we go to our discussion for the day, here is a presentation outline that I prepare for you. Okay, so in the introduction, this is our introduction. And then, of course, for the second part is the examples. I'm going to read you some examples that I have prepared that is related to our discussion. For the third part, of course, we will discuss the main points of our topic for today, the rules that we have to learn and we have to master, of course. The fourth part is the practice. In this part, I'm going to give you 10 items exercise so that we can test how far you have learned the lesson. And for the last part, the activity, I will give you an individual work for 3 minutes. Don't worry, it is easy. You can do it. Okay. Next slide. Oh, oops. Okay. Again, good day, students. So, are you ready for our class today?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, so thank you. Okay, let us proceed. So, let me read you these examples that I have prepared. Okay, example number one. There was no time to cook a meal. I have no ingredients in my kitchen. Example number two. I wanted some pizza, but there was none left. The second example. How much pizza is there? None. For the third example, let us have none of the pizza was left. None of his old friends knew what happened to him. Okay. So what's the rule? What's the rule behind those examples that I have read earlier? So let's find out. Okay, Miss Rian, can you read this rule number one?
Hello, ma'am. Am I being heard
Okay.
po?
Yes, you're being heard.
Rule number one. The determiner no means not one, not any, or not a. No is only used with uncountable nouns, but it can also be used when the countable nouns are in the plural form.
Okay, thank you. So the rule number one says that the determiner no means not one, not any, or not a. Determiners are used before the noun. So we use no as a determiner because we use it before the noun. So it says that no is only used with uncountable nouns, but it can also be used when the countable nouns are in plural form. So, for example, okay, example, there was no time to cook a meal. So in here, time is an uncountable noun. So we can say that no plus the uncountable noun. There was no time to cook a meal. The second example, I have no ingredients in my kitchen. So ingredients in this sentence is a countable noun. So we have read earlier that no is only used with uncountable noun, but it can also be used as a countable noun provided that it is in its plural form. So no plus the plural countable noun ingredients. I have no ingredients in my kitchen. So let us have uh, further examples. Okay, there are no batteries in the drawer. We had to walk to the school because there was no bus. There are no cars on the street. So what can we get from these examples? So from these sentences, no plus the countable noun batteries. No plus bus. No plus car. So we can learn that no is used with a noun. Okay? So no plus noun can also be used to show emphasis. So in what way? So let us see. There wasn't any food left. There was no food left. So we have said earlier that no also means not any. So instead of saying wasn't any, we can use no to show emphasis. So in this context, no is often emphatic. So it says that this sentence can indicate surprise or disappointment. Maybe because there was no food on the table, there was no food on the refrigerator, or there was no food left for you, for example. Okay, so what can we conclude from the first rule? So we can say that no is used with a noun, uncountable noun, or a countable noun provided that it is in its plural form. Okay, for the rule number 2. Okay, Miss Zillian, can you read this rule number 2 for us?
We use none without a noun since it is a pronoun, so it doesn't need a noun after it. It can also answer its own question about quantity.
Okay, very good. So it says that in rule number 2, we use none without a noun since it is a pronoun. And it doesn't need a noun after it. It can also answer its question about quantity. So none is a pronoun and it can replace countable and uncountable nouns. So the meaning becomes negative. So let us have some examples. Okay, the first example is that he has 3 cars and she has none. So we can observe that there are no nouns after none because that's the second rule that we have read. For the second part, I wanted some pizza, but there was none left. So again, there are no nouns that comes next after the word none. Okay, another example. Oops. Okay, how much pizza is there? None. So we have read earlier that none can also answer its question about quantity. So this example is a question. So our answer could be none. So how much pizza is there? None. And the second example, how much money do you have? None. I have spent everything I had at the mall. The same rule applies to that example. Okay. So reminder, we don't use none where we mean no one or nobody. Let us have, again, some examples. They had an accident and luckily no one was injured. So Miss Rianne, can you read this part, the second one, the second sentence?
They had an accident and luckily none was injured.
Okay, thank you. So when we mean to say no one, we shouldn't shortcut it. We shouldn't use none. No one should remain as is when we want to say, okay, and luckily no one was injured. So it shouldn't be replaced with none. None shouldn't be substituted for no one. Okay, another example. He was calling for help, but no one was there to help him. Jillian, can you read this second sentences?
He was calling for help, but none was there to help him.
Okay. So again, the same rule goes for these sentences. No one and none. So when you need to say no one, you shouldn't use none. No one should remain as is. Okay, before we proceed to the rule number 3. So what can we derive from the rule number 2? That none can be used alone since it is a pronoun. Or it can answer a question about quantity. It can answer its own question about quantity. Okay. For the rule number 3, let me read this part for you. Rule number 3, none of is used with a definite article the and also before the demonstratives this, those, that, this, possessives like my, your, his, her, their, or etc. For pronouns such as he, it, and etc. So let us have some examples. Okay. Okay. Example number 1. Leanne, can you read this part for us?
None of the pizza was left.
Okay. So none of the pizza was left. So none of plus the determiner, specifically the definite article the, plus the noun pizza. None of the pizza was left because we have said earlier that none of can be used with determiners. And the determiners that we have used in this sentence is the definite article the. So the rule is none of plus the noun pizza. Another example. Okay, Jillian, can you read this part for us?
None of his old friends knew what happened to him.
Okay. So none of his old friends knew what happened to him. So in this part, none of is followed by a possessive pronoun his and the noun friends. So as we have read earlier, none of can be used with possessive pronouns such as his in this sentence, and of course the noun friends. So none of his old friends knew what happened to him. Okay, for the next example. Okay, it doesn't matter. None of it was your fault. So in this sentence, none of is followed by a pronoun it. None of it was your fault. So because we have discussed that none of can be used with pronouns too. So it doesn't matter. None of it was your fault. So the rules that we can derive from these 3 examples that we got is, let's go back to the first slide. Okay, that none of can be used with determiners, specifically the definite article the. And then the second one is that none of can be used with the possessive pronoun his or any other possessive pronouns that you want to use. And you create your own sentence. And the third is that none of can be used with the pronoun it. Okay. Okay. Before we proceed to the additional sentences, I hope you are remembering the rules that we have discussed a while ago. So let me just repeat it to you. The rule number 1, we have no plus noun. It can be uncountable noun or a countable noun provided that it is in its plural form. The second rule is that none can stand alone because it is a pronoun. And it can also answer its own question about quantity, like how much money do you have? None. How much money, how many food left? So none. So the third rule is that none of can also be used with nouns, but we will use determiners, Possessive pronouns, demonstratives such as that, these, those, or what else? Pronouns, possessive pronouns, demonstratives, and determiners. Okay. So let us have some additional examples to further deepen your understanding of our lesson for today. Okay. Oops. Okay. Example number 1. So, Zillian, can you read this part?
This menu has no vegetarian options.
Okay, thank you. So this menu has no vegetarian option. So we can see that vegetarian in this sentence is an uncountable noun. So no plus the uncountable noun vegetarian. No vegetarian options. So for the second part, no waiters were available to take our order. So no plus the plural countable noun waiters. For the third example, no explanation was given for the no explanation was given for the change of date for the meeting. So, additional information for you that no can also be used at the beginning of a sentence. It can be placed at the beginning of the sentence, provided that a noun follows it. So, you can, when you're creating your own sentences, you can place it at the beginning, but always remember to always put a noun after it. Okay? For the second example, okay. The donuts were gone when I got to work this morning. There were none left. So none doesn't need a noun, right? Am I right?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So all the tickets have been sold. There are none left. So as we are repeatedly talking a while ago, none doesn't need a noun after it. Oops, okay. Example number 3. So none of her relatives knew she was ill. So none of plus the possessive pronoun her and then the noun relatives. So none of her relatives knew she was ill. So the next example. Don't beat yourself up about it. None of it was your fault. So none of followed by the pronoun it. So none of it was your fault. Okay? Okay, so that's for the example that I have prepared for you. So now let us try to fill this out. Let us try to fill the sentences with no and none. You can raise your hand, but it's best if you can unmute your microphone so that, we can have an interaction with each other. So number 1, we had to walk home and there were blank taxis. So Zillian, can you give your answer for this part?
I think the answer is no.
Oh, very good. No, because it is followed by the word taxis, and taxis are nouns. So we had to walk home, and there were no taxis. Okay, number 2. How many eggplants have we got? Blank. Do you want me to buy some? So, Rian, what is your answer for this part?
I think the answer for the second one is none.
Oh, great. Very good. Because, okay, none is correct. How many eggplants have we got? None. As you can see, we use here a question, and we have mentioned earlier that none can use and none can answer its own question about quantity. So number 3, we took a few photographs, but blank of them were very good. So Zalian, can I ask your answer for this part?
My answer is none.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. None. We took a few photographs, but none of them were very good. So notice the use of the preposition of in the sentences. So it means that there were no good photographs that were taken. Okay, number 4. What a silly thing to do. Blank intelligent person would do such a thing. So, Rianne, what is your answer for this part?
I think the answer for the fourth one is no intelligent person.
Okay, very good. So, what a silly thing to do. No intelligent person would do such a thing because we have used here the noun. So, no intelligent person would do such a thing. Okay, number 5. Okay, I tried to phone Tara, but there was blank answer. So, Zelian, what is your answer for this part?
The answer is no, ma'am.
Okay, very good. I tried to phone Tara, but there was no answer. Okay, great. So here, the next part. There was blank end to our troubles. So what could be the possible answer for this sentence? Anyone? Hello?
I want to answer, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, sure, you can answer.
I think the answer for the sixth one is no.
Okay, very good. There was no end to our troubles. So no plus the uncountable noun end. Okay, number 7. Blank of them has come back yet. So what could be the possible answer here?
Ma'am,
Hello, yes?
I think the answer is none.
Okay, very good. None of them has come back yet. So again, notice the use of the preposition of. None of them has come back yet. Number 8. How many tickets have you got? Blank. So what is your answer for this part? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Hello, yes. You can answer for this part.
I think the ninth one is no.
Oh, wait. Let us answer first the number 8.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay, it's
The
okay.
eighth one is none.
Okay, very good. So how many tickets have you got? None. Because again, this is a question and we are talking it a while ago that none can answer its own question about quantity. So number 9, blank words can describe the scene. So what could be the possible answer here?
No words can describe the scene. The answer is no po.
Okay, very good. No words can describe the scene. So no plus the plural countable noun words. Okay, number 10, we're down to the last part. We have blank kids. So what is your answer for that part?
Hello,
Hello.
ma'am.
Okay, yes.
I think the tenth one is we have no kids.
Okay, very good. So we have no kids. Again, no plus the noun kids. So I'm very pleased that you are able to apply the rules that we have discussed for today. So it's our time for our individual work. Are you ready for our individual work?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Don't
ma'am.
worry, it is easy. You can do it. So here is our instruction for our individual activity. Okay, construct 3 sentences containing the rules that we have discussed. You can compose your own sentences in 3 minutes and then share it to the class. So you can think of a sentence, you can write it, or you can just think of it, and then you should apply the rule number 1, the use of no, the rule number 2, the use of none, rule number 3, the use of none of. So per minute, you can create your own sentences. You may start thinking now. I will give you 3 minutes. So our time for today is 3:10. So I will go back to you at 3:13. Or if you finish early. You can share it to the class. Okay. You can write it. Again, always remember to follow the rule number 1, no plus noun. Rule number 2, noun can be used alone because it is a pronoun, or you can create a question because it can answer a quantity. It can answer a question about quantity. Number 3, none of, you can create a sentences containing the definite article the, none of the, or the possessive pronoun none of her, none of his, or the pronoun it, none of it, none of it, or yes. You can think of your own sentences about the 3 rules that we have learned. So I'm excited to hear your sentences. Okay, so it's 3:11. Let us wait for another minute. So don't forget the rules that we have discussed. So I think it is easy to understand. So I hope you can apply it very well. Okay, it's already 3:12. Okay, Miss Zillian, can I ask you, are you done with the sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so can you share it with the class?
My first sentence is, I want to buy a cell phone, but I have no money.
Okay, very, very good. So Jillian used no plus money. No plus noun, money. Okay, the second one.
The second one is, I would have bought balloons, but there were none in the shop.
Okay, very good. So for the second part, Jillian used none alone. So none in the shop. Okay. The third example.
The third sentence, I offered my friends some drinks, but they wanted none of it.
Okay, very good. So she uses none of it. Okay, Miss Rian. Okay, you're raising your hand. It's your turn to share the 3 sentences that you have created for us.
First sentence is the cat has no food.
Okay, very good. So Rian used the cat has no food. No plus the countable noun food. Okay. To the second part.
My second sentence is my brother wants chocolate, but there was none left.
Okay, very good. So also Rian used none alone. Very good. There were none left. What? There was none left. I mean. Okay, for the third part.
My last sentence is none of them showed up to my party.
Okay, very good. So none of them showed up at my party. So I am very pleased that you're able to learn the 3 rules that we have discussed. So can I ask you if you remember the rules? Can I ask you? Can you share? Okay, the rule number 1 only. Rule number 1. No plus.
Noun.
Noun.
Okay, very good. No plus noun. So for the second part is none. So you can use none alone, right? None, or it can answer a question. So for the third part, the rule is that none of, it can be none of the, none of her, none of his, none of my. Yeah, so you can use those rules. So I am very glad that you're able to learn. You're able to learn something today. So okay, slide. Okay. So thank you for listening. So do you have any questions, class?
And mom.
None, ma'am.
Wow. Okay. So thank you for sharing your time with me, and thank you for listening. So I hope I will see you next week. And yeah, I will see you next week for our next discussion. So thank you and God bless. You may leave the meeting.